Every praise is to our God. Yes. Amen. Yes. Amen. Worship 24/7/365. Yes. Yes. We thank God for being God all by himself. Yes. Amen. This is the day that the Lord has made. Yes, it is. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Hallelujah. Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you, Lord.
From the scripture that was read in your hearing, found in Job 23:8-12, I'd just like to read the last two verses. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backwards, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand, where he doeth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. But he knoweth the way that I take. And when he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Yes. Amen. Just for a little while, I want to talk from the thought, living on the left hand side of God. Living on the left side of God. Amen? Amen. You may be seated. Holy Spirit, sweet Holy Spirit, tabernacle just for a little while longer.
Yes, Jesus.
That preaching would be easy. Tabernacle, God, for a little while longer, that these your people would hear more of you and less of me. Yes. Tabernacle a little while longer. Yes. Hide me behind the cross under the drippings of your blood. Stop my stammering tongue, that I can speak with simplicity, clarity, and with power. Holy Spirit, tabernacle a little while longer, that we all can hear your voice and feel your presence. It's in the name of Christ we pray. And say amen.
Amen. Amen.
Community, there are times when it's difficult to understand the ways and the methods of God. Moments when discerning God's will can be a frustrating endeavor. This is because we have not been given all the necessary information to understand, or maybe we misread that which we were already given. And this is why we so often say that hindsight is 20/20.
Yes.
Because in our looking back, we're always able to see what we missed while we were in the midst of God. But for all that we can say about viewing things in retrospect and seeing God's hands in our lives, there are still those times when we feel completely alone and completely afraid. Whom among us has not felt our faith weighed down by the severe struggles that left us wondering what in the world was God doing in our lives? The reality is that in spite of all of our rhetoric of religiosity, to remain calm in crisis, faithful in frightful situations, and trusting in His terror is easier said than done. True. And this is because it is during crisis and difficulty that we can find ourselves in a desperate search for our God.
Yes.
Now, I understand that the theological position of the church is that God is in all places at all times. But I wonder if I got anybody in here this morning who's ever been in a place where God seen that he's playing hide and seek. It is then that you can appreciate the words that God spoke to Jeremiah. Ye shall seek me and find me. And when you shall search for me with all your heart. And somebody needs to know that searching for God is an equal opportunity experience for every Christian. Regardless of how successful you may be. You will always have times when you just need to find God. It's not just a matter of wanting to find him for the sake of saying you found him, but life can sometimes be so difficult that it's not a matter of wanting to find God, but needing to find God. And that's what true worship is. The search for God is the primary, the beginning, and the necessary steps to true worship. We never search for anything that does not have value.
That's right.
The very fact that we search for God indicates that he has become essential to our lives. Our saying, God, I need you. Every hour I need you is a form of worship. We don't just want God to show up. We need God to show out. Say hallelujah, somebody.
Amen.
However, even though the Bible says that God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, the truth of the matter is that very few of us who start out this journey, we start out as seekers. But God being God knows what it takes to bring us to a place that we have a mind, we have a heart to search for God. And what God allows to get to us, there's not ultimately designed to hurt us. But rather, whatever God allows to come on us is to help us.
Yes.
Because he knows that searching can release answers.
Yes.
Jesus said, seek and you shall find. There are so many things available to us that we never find without an all-out search for our God. And searching is not to be understood just as making a passing glance to find something and then quitting in frustration. But when God says search, God is talking about putting out an APB.
Right.
When the police issue an all-points bulletin, that means that they want all departments and all available personnel to be seeking the same thing.
Yes, right.
It is with this type of diligence that God expects us to search for him with all our heart, with all our mind, and with all our soul.
Yes.
And if we want all that God has for us, it requires us to put out an APB.
Amen.
Nothing short of an all-out God hunt will bring it to pass. Why is it important, church, that we search for God? The reason for this God hunt is because there are times when we grow weary of human answers.
Yes.
Critical times when we arise in our lives that we require more than just some good counsel.
Yes.
We don't need a word from God. We don't need a word from mama. We don't need a word from daddy. We don't need a word from pop or mama. We need a word from the true and living God.
Yes. Amen.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got to get to the house. Got to close the blind, shut the door, turn off the cell phone, turn off the eye, and get on our knees and have a little talk with Jesus. And not only have a talk with Jesus, but stay there long enough that God can respond to our request.
Yes.
God, I need you. Is there anybody here this morning that need God?
Yes.
But let's look at the text this morning. The main character in the text is Brother Job. He understands what I'm talking about. He's going through some absolute crises. His finances have been obliterated. His cattle, his donkeys, his oxen were all destroyed. His crops were wiped out. And normally he would have been able to turn to his family for comfort. But his children, too, had been destroyed. His marriage had deteriorated to the degree that he had said to his wife, his wife said to him, you should curse God and die. And if that weren't enough, then his body was stricken with disease. Have you ever been there, church? Where you had to wonder, Lord, what have I done?
Yes.
Nothing, and nobody seems to be able to ease the sorrow that I'm going through.
Yes.
What do you do when God seems further away than time is from eternity? When God seems further away than your faith is from your doubts? Where do you go when God seems that he's further away than the east is from the west and the sun is from the moon? Where do you go when it seems like everything around you is going wrong? The question is, why is Job facing these situations? Job said, behold, I go forward. But he's not there. Saints of God, it's an awful empty feeling when you see no change coming in your future. Job said, I see no help, no sign of God coming anytime soon. Have you ever felt like God missed his appointment with you?
Yes. Yes.
You had the hour, you had at least the day, you had the week marked on your calendar, but it seemed like God didn't show up at the time frame that you had God to stop by. Job is asking, where is God? Where is God who stepped out on nothing, spoke to nobody, and said, let there be something, and everything that was became into being? Where is God who sent the earthquake in the valley of dry bones and connected the bones together? Where is God, the God of clay, who met Jeremiah at the potter's house and reminded him that he will remove the broken pieces and mend the jagged edges? Where is God who laid dry highways in the midst of the sea so that the children of Israel can cross over on dry ground? Every now and then, we'll ask us, where is God? Is God playing hide and seek?
Well,
The issue is, I need you to understand that the notion that God is far away is a mind game that the devil plays on us. It's a trick of the enemy to get you to view your situation the wrong way. You see, if the truth be told, the God we seek is never far away. The issue is never so much that God's presence is just our perception. Many times deliverance is not so much about the move of God as it is the mind of every man and every woman. Deliverance comes when our mind accepts God's timing and God's purpose within our lives. You see, comfort comes when you know that the present predicament will end and your view is that you're not the victim, but you're the victor.
Yes.
From Job, we also learn that we can not only maximize our joy and minimize our pain when we live with the end in view. Again, Job says he cannot find God, he cannot feel God, and he cannot figure God out. But Job somehow understands that God is at work even in the midst of his trials and his tribulations. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Another scholar said, it is only when everything is hopeless that hope begins to be our strength. Another scholar said, the facts of faith supersedes the facts of life. God disciplines us, but God also embraces us. Yes. God sometimes breaks us, but it is God who makes us. Yes. God allows us to be hurt, but then it is the same God that allows us to be healed. God often denies our wants, but he meets each and every one of our needs. We cry, but God wipes away every tear. Yes. We go through the valleys of the shadow of death, but God has reminded us that he's always with us. We have enemies, but God fights each and every one of our battles. Yes. We get sick, but God's got more medicine in the hem of his garment than all the drugstores and pharmacies of the world. We struggle, but God's still able to comfort us. We get disturbed, but God is still one that gives us a perfect peace. We fall down, but we can get up. Even when we don't know where God is, our comfort lies in the fact that God knows where we are. Don't worry about where God is. God knows everything. God is everywhere at the same time. If you just breathe, God's right there. If you just turn around, God's right there. If you just look up, God's right there. If you just turn around, God's right there. Don't worry about where God is. We got to learn how to trust God when we can't trace God.
That's right, Lord.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me see
Thank you, Lord.
if I can make this clear. When I was a youngster, I used to watch a program called Gilligan's Island. Y'all know that program?
Oh, yes.
During the opening of the show, we would see a storm where the rain would not cease. The wind was boisterous and the waves of the water looked as though they would overtake the ship at any time. However, the skipper knew, what the skipper knew was that the ship would not sink as long as they did not allow the water to get in from the outside. Talk to me here, church. It doesn't matter how bad it may look in your life, how overwhelming it may seem, how difficult others may make it. Keep that stuff out of your spirit. Even if the storm keeps coming, the lightning continues to fly, and the thunder continues to roll. If you just keep it out, it can't sink you. And since you're going down, keep on searching for God. In the midst of what comes your way, we get overwhelmed by the circumstance or the situation that we find ourselves in. But if you take your mind off the circumstance, if you take your mind off the situation and look towards Jesus, look towards the hill from which cometh your help, realize that the help comes from the Lord. Every now and then, you're going to get weary. Every now and then, you're going to be shaking with your knees. Every now and then, it looks like you're about to fall down. But if you just look up and cry out, Jesus, 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 he'll send an angel to stop by and see about it. Just in the nick of time, he'll stop by and lift you up. Just We'll never get out of bed if doubt can hold us down.
That's right. That's right.
But if you speak peace into your situation,
My Lord.
God can turn that thing around.
Peace, peace, sweet peace. Yes.
See, doubt just wants you to be stuck in a rut.
That's right.
But if you get up,
Uh-huh.
brush your teeth, bathe yourself, get yourself, begin to start your day, and in the midst of all you're doing, give God glory.
Yes.
Give God praise.
Glory.
That's it.
Glory.
Thank you.
When I think of the goodness of Jesus
Oh.
and all that he's done for
Yes,
me,
sir.
deep down in my sanctified soul, I cry out, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thank God for saving
Glory
me.
to God.
I'm nothing without God.
Nothing.
I'm nothing without God. I thank God for saving me. I thank God for turning my life around. But if it wasn't for God, where would I be?
Thank you, God.
There are many of us
Thank you, Lord.
who have been searching for God,
Thank you.
but it feels like we haven't got any closer to find
Thank you,
him.
God.
We know.
But I need to tell you that you're closer than you ever think.
Yes.
Job, help us here. Job, tell us where to find God. He tells us where God works. God shows us that God works on the left hand, the left side. There are many of us who have been looking towards the right hand. And I can understand why. Because in the Bible, the right hand symbolizes power and authority.
Yes.
And that's why Jesus is seated on the right hand of God.
Yes.
Whenever we call somebody our right hand, it means that's a person of importance in our life, or somebody that's next in command of what we're doing. The right hand means power and authority. So naturally, in the search for God, we want to look for the right hand. But Job says, I go forward, but he's not there. I go backwards, but he's not there. I cannot perceive him, but on the left side, he doeth work.
Yes.
Church, it's not always easy to understand God's working on the left side. You see, God makes definite moves on the right hand. There are times when God moves openly, and I call them right hand blessings, where everybody can see what God has done. When God sent an angel to the tomb to comfort Mary and Mary Magdalene, he placed an angel on the right side of the tomb. When Peter had fished all night long and caught nothing, Jesus told Peter, cast thy net on the other side and catch a draught. And so when we see God do so much on the right side, then we find ourselves living on the left side. We mistakenly assume that God has forgotten all about us. But I come by to help somebody this morning. Even though God moves openly on God's right hand, there are also times when God moves quietly, when God tiptoes, when God walking around in the shadow behind the scene when you can't even see it. There are times, church, when you can't even discern, times when you can't figure out what God is up to. And the saints of God is doing those times that God has not forgotten you, nor has God forsaken you. Even though you were expecting his right hand, God is working on the left side. Let me close by talking about my late brother Tyrone. When Tyrone was born, my parents noticed that he had learned how to hold his bottle with his right hand. So naturally they assumed that he was a right-handed child. But however, to their surprise, as Tyrone grew a little older, Tyrone began to hold the cup with his left hand. So they noticed that there are some things that he can do with his right hand, and there's some things he can do with his left. Now, technically, we know that as being ambidextrous. My grandmother called it even-handed. So the hand he used depends on what he's trying to accomplish. What I'm trying to tell you this morning, church, about God is don't fret over living on the left side. Because the God we serve is an even-handed God. He's just as good on the left as he is on the right. He can bless you on the right side where everybody can see it, but he also can bless you on the left side when nobody knows what God is doing in your life. All of us who spend some time on the right side of God, you woke up this morning because he blessed you on the right side. You're clothed in your right mind because he blessed you on the right side. You got a roof over your head and clothes on your back because he blessed you on the right side. You got food in the refrigerator and heat is coming through the vents because he blessed you on the right side. But is there anybody here that know anything about being blessed on the left side? Folk know you made it, but they don't know how you made it because it was on the left side. Folk know you got it, but they don't know how you're able to manage it. That's when God blesses you on the left side. They know everything is dying around you, but they don't know how you got healed from it. That's when God blessed you on the left side. They know you fell apart, but they don't know how you made it back again through broken pieces. speak to God
Yes.
like we know it's already done.
Yes.
We got to speak to God that we already healed. We got to speak to God that we already got the blessing. Don't tell God to bless me. God, I'm walking in it. The new car is coming. You don't believe it. You don't believe it. There was a woman, the story told us, a woman in church, and she got up and testified and said, God's going to bless me with a new car. But after church was over, she would go to the corner and she would catch the bus and go home. Next Sunday she came back to church and she testified, God's going to bless me with a new car. She went out to church, went to the corner, went down the street, and she caught the bus. Third Sunday she came back and she testified, God's going to bless me with a new car. This Sunday is raining. And the pastor goes out and he sees the sister standing at the bus stop because service had went a little long and she missed the bus. And the pastor said, well, I heard you testify that God's going to bless you with a new car. And she said, that's right. I believe God's going to bless me with a new car. Well, Sister so-and-so, how do you know? She said, when I needed a husband. I prayed to God that I needed a husband. God didn't come in a hurry, but he came on time. And God gave me a husband. There was a time that I was sick, and God didn't come in a hurry, but when he showed up, it was on time. I got healed. And the same way that I waited on God for a husband, the same way I waited on God for a healing, the same way I'm waiting on God to give me a new car. Is there anybody here that don't mind waiting on God? Is there anybody here that don't mind waiting on God? Because you can't hurry God. You just got to wait. You can't hurry God. You just got to wait. But when God shows up, God's going to show out. I just stopped by to encourage you. Don't give up in well-doing. Be encouraged. Hold on and hold out. Speak into the atmosphere what you want God to do. And God will do it in God's time. Tell him where the job is. Tell him where the money is. Tell him whatever you tell him where it is. And live like it's on your way, like it's on the way. And you'll come home one day and open the mailbox. And what you're looking for is in the mailbox. You'll come home one day and a box will be on the porch. And it'll be just what God has wanted to give to you. But you got to believe that God is able to do what he said he would do. A lot what hinders us is we doubt that God is still able to answer prayer. We still doubt God whether God is a healer. We still doubt if God is a deliverer. We still doubt God if he can tear down strongholds and break chains in us. God is still able. God is alive and well.
My Lord.
Because he declared, our Father's given me all power. And being that he's given me all power, I'm dropping some of that power in you. And you got to walk in the salvation plan that he's given you. Just like you got a bank card, just like you got a credit card, just like you got a medical card. Walk in the value of the card that you have. And can't nobody beat this one. They got a lot of them out there. Can't nobody beat this one. Because this one is free. They'll never cancel your cards. They'll never terminate your plan. But you got to walk in your plan. Because sometimes we're walking like our plan is terminated and our plan is alive and well.
That's true.
I'm saying to you today, walk in what God has given you. Are you with me? And realize that God is able to bless you openly and God is able to bless you on the down low. And that's not in the negative speaking. God will bless you on the down low, but only you and God know. The only way I'm going to know if you testify about it. Yes, sir. But there's some things God wants to do for you to know that he's God all by himself. That's right. And that's what the character in the text says. After he has tried me, after he has tested me, after he has challenged me, I shall come forth as gold, as pure gold. And remember, gold got to go through the fire. I'm about through. I got one more story to tell you. preacher was preparing to preach at a major preaching event for preachers in the United States. No matter what your denomination, all preachers come to this location in the month of June. And he was the keynote speaker. The keynote speaker preaches at night. They have preachers all during the day, but the prime time preacher is at night. And he was in his office, and you got an office, and you got a desk, then you got a conference room. And every so often, the secretary or one of the staff people would bring in donuts. And this morning, a staff person brought in some DD. Y'all know what DD is, right?
Yeah.
All right, the Dunkin' Donuts. All right, just to get we all on the same page. And he at his desk trying to put some words together for one of the messages that he's going to give. When the glazed donut said, Pastor Lance, come on in here. I'm waiting on you. Yeah. Pastor Watson, come on in here. I'm waiting on you. He responded back in his mind, you know I'm fasting. I don't need any donuts. So the donut said to him, well, Pastor Watson, you don't know what I went through to become this glazed donut just for you. You don't realize how they took some dough and shaped me and then cut my middle out. You don't realize they put me in the oven and they put oil on it and I cooked all night long. You don't realize that I had to go down in that oil time and time again to get my glaze to the way it was. And then when I was done, they had to cover me with more glaze. For me to look like I look, I had to go through something. And every now and then, for you to look the way you look, you got to go through something. Every now and then, realize how we look now is not the way we arrived. The way we look now is not the way God found us, but every now and then you got to go through something that God can see that you're worthy of the test, you're worthy of the trial, and you're worthy of the truth. Every now and then God's got to take you through something, because if you want to grow, you got to go through something. If you want to grow, you got to go through something. If you want to grow, you got to go through something.
Yeah, that's true. Amen.
And realize in your growing, it's not to hurt you, it's to help you.
Yes.
It's to help you prepare for the next storm, the next situation, the next drama that comes in your life.
Thank you, Lord.
Because when you look at the character of Job, out of all he went through, and some scholars believe it all happened in one day, out of all that he went through, he never stopped quoting scripture. He never stopped praising God. Even when his friends come and say, you had to have sinned. You had to have did something wrong for God to do this to you. He kept giving God praise. And in giving God praise, he was asking God for an audience. And eventually, before the book closed, God shows up. And God shows up. You got to watch when you ask for an audience.
All right.
Oh, because when he shows up, he's going to remind you. So I just stopped by to encourage you this morning that the God you serve is still able to do exceedingly abundantly whatever you can think or imagine by the power that worketh in you. That's the key point. Are you with me? Look at the text in Ephesians 20 and 20. When you look at the text, it tells you it's about you. God is able to do it through you.
That's right.
You got to speak it.
That's right.
You got to believe it. You got to walk in it.
That's it.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord.
Yes.
Thank you, God.
And I quoted in here Jeremiah. He took Jeremiah down to the potter's house to remind him, I still love Israel. So come down and look at this potter work on the wheel. The clay is you, the clay is me, and the potter is Jesus. Watch how the potter works. The clay is already marred, but I can reshape it. And I only can reshape it as long as the clay stay wet.
All right.
Y'all ain't never had silly putty. Y'all ain't never had clay. You played as a kid, huh? The clay, no, let me get real with you. Y'all grew up in the hood? Have you ever made any mud pies? Come on now.
Yes, indeed.
We had to work with what we had. As long as that mud was wet, we was able to make something.
Yes.
So I just stopped by to encourage you today.
Thank you, God.
Stay wet. Then God can shape you and mold you to what you have in the day.
Amen.
I'm from the hood. Y'all don't know what y'all got. I came from the concrete jungle. We ain't had many toys. We made toys out of what was in the backyard.
Well,
We thought it was cute to catch bees off the trees. But didn't realize those same bees will sting you. Put them in marbles, so we played rocks. Come on now, somebody help me out. Huh? All right. See, y'all gotta laugh at that. The laugh is on me today. It's on me today.
It's all good.
But I remember where God brought me from. I remember.
Yes, God. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, God.
And when I look back, all I can do is tell God, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
I hate to go home because I got to ride through the neighborhood and see where God has brought me from.
Yes, God.
That's what it's all about.
Praise.
Thank you, God.
And God kept me when I wasn't saved.
Yes,
Thank
He
you.
did.
Oh.
Yes, He did. Thank
There are
you.
many days I could have been shot.
Yes.
I could have been stabbed. I could have been mugged. Could have been left for dead where I was.
Thank you, Lord.
But God made a way
Hallelujah.
Thank you, God.
to get me back to the house safely. Because I declare I had a praying mother.
Yes.
I had a mother that called my name and laid before God until her son got back in the house.
Yes, God.
And even when her son was away, she prayed that he would come back home again.
Thank
It's
you,
just something
God.
about, and I'll never forget that.
Thank you, God.
That's something I'll carry for the rest of my days. If your mother's living, cherish your mother.
Oh, yes.
You only got one
Yes.
mama.
Yes,
Only
God.
one mama.
Mhm.
Love on them as best as you can.
Yes,
My mother did everything she could to make sure Tony could have what Tony wanted. And when I became of age and got a job paying a real salary,
yes,
I made sure my mother didn't lack for nothing.
yes, yes.
She made a hit that the refrigerator was going bad. It's called Mrs. G down in Lawrenceville. Mrs. G sent her refrigerator over there. She needed it was there.
Yes, God.
Tony, you didn't have to, I know I didn't have to do it, but I heard you cry for a refrigerator.
Yes, God.
I heard you cry for a stove.
Yes, yes.
I heard you cry that your bank account was a little low.
Yes, God.
And I would tell her, I could be real, I could be transparent with y'all.
Yes.
God.
Every now and then I had a brother that didn't mind going into the custody of the county of Mercer.
Well,
Didn't have no trouble going into the custody of the state of New Jersey.
Yes,
Well.
yes, God.
My mother would say, my boy is at such and such a place, but my mom said, don't be sending it, no. If you send the money to me, son, you can't tell me what to do with it. So if you're going to send me $100, you're going to send me $200, you can't tell me what to do.
Yes, yes.
Because of that $200, $50 is going somewhere that my boy can have what he needs.
Yes,
well,
And what I realized in my mother,
Mother's love.
that my mother loved unconditionally.
Yes.
And when I met a man named Jesus, I found out that he had some of the same problems. When I met a man named Jesus, he loved me better than my mother. He looked out for me better than my mother. I love my mother, but can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like can't nobody.
nobody.
So I encourage you today,
Thank you,
seek
God.
him while he may be found.
Yes.
Call upon him while he's near.
Yes.
Thank you, God.
God is able to do what you need.
Yes,
And you ain't got to holler like I do. You can be at the house and just whisper, Jesus,
Thank you, God.
I need you now. I need thee. Every hour I need thee. Come, oh Lord, in my presence, that I can feel you moving in the midst of what I'm going through.
Yes.
Because the big issue is, the big thing is, and I'm sure enough through, the big thing is that we all need to know that God's in the midst
Yes.
of what we're going through.
Yes.
It's when we don't know God's in the midst or don't recognize God's in the midst, that's when we get buried.
Yes.
That's when we begin to second guess God.
Yeah.
But the Bible declares, if we stand on His word, the Bible says in Matthew 28, I will never leave you
Yes.
nor forsake you. I'll be with you even to the end of it. You just got to remind him, I know you're here, God. Can't feel it, but I'm going to trust you anyhow. I'm going to trust in the Lord
Yes, God.
till the day I die.
Thank you, God.
Amen. I will trust. I will trust. I will trust.
We'll trust you, Lord.
And God will show up and show out. Amen.
Amen.